All right, Coach Zach, we're back. You've made it, and we are on the last pillar of our temple. And this is, again, video series on the temple project, which is my newest kind of vision that's come to me that I felt compelled to kind of put out there, because it's really, again, comes from a necessity of my own desire and need to change and live a better lifestyle. And again, I've said this probably every video, but it's always worth repeating, because it was a really tough year when I really came to realize that this was the missing piece for me. As a coach who's been in the fitness and health industry for 10 years, who's read all the books, who's tried all the diets, who's done all the workout routines, I've worked with thousands and thousands of people, I've helped thousands and thousands of people, but there's always been something missing, and for myself. And when life is good, things are good. But last year, when things were not great, I was not happy with how I showed up in my daily life. And that really bled into how I treated my body and how I showed up in the gym, and had this lack of energy to even do most things in life, let alone go to the gym and work out and even be at my gym. And that's really not a place that I wanted to be. And so it drove me to really coming to find this last piece, though, which I think is really important. And so maybe it was meant to happen. Maybe it was a divine being pushing me in that direction. And so again, this is one of those things that might shy a lot of people away from this. You might have already left as soon as you heard the God word. But I'll tell you right now, it doesn't have to necessarily be what I believe. Although the more I get into this, the more I truly believe that, what I follow is the best thing for me anyways. I don't want to jump into that too much. Again, I think that there's other ways about it. But ultimately, we have to have a reason bigger than ourselves. And it can't be something of human making necessarily. And so for me, we have all the information, we've learned how to implement it, we have the tools and processes, we have a support system, we know what kind of movement we need to be doing on a weekly, daily basis, we know how to eat properly and fuel our body for the goals that we want. But we need to have something that we can trust, that will support us through thick and thin, no matter what, that we can wake up every day and have gratitude for, no matter how crappy life might get. And that is a spiritual base. You got to have a spiritual program or daily ritual that you can commit to. And yes, I think it should be daily, because think about how much time you spend doing other things, whether it be working or playing with your kids or, exercising. We spend all this time doing all these things. To think that you can't spend an hour of your time or even 30 minutes doing something for your spiritual self is a bunch of BS. And I've had to learn that. And for me, the more and more I put into it, the more I get back, right? And so for any of you who currently or have done this in the past, you know what I'm talking about. But you have to have a spiritual element. For me, that's God, Jesus Christ. That's for me. I've kind of renewed my faith recently. Again, just going through a dark time, I got pulled in that direction, and that was a thing that really pulled me out of this dark place, because every human connection, human relationship, human-made thing that was in my life really got either pulled away from me or just didn't show up in the way I wanted it to or expected it to. And all that dependence I had on those things really came to a headway where it stopped working, and it really kind of put me in a dark place. And I tried all these different things. I spent tons of money on therapists and coaches and all this stuff, especially on a lot of things I already kind of knew and a lot of things I did learn about myself, which was good, but none of it took me out of the darkness until I really had a recommitment to God and my faith. Now, again, I don't think it has to be the exact same thing that I do, but even when I first got sober and I got into Alcoholics Anonymous and I was doing the spiritual program to that, right? And there's not a lot of people who, or at least where I am, who really kind of the church or Jesus, that kind of stuff, right? And so there's a lot of walls there I had to break down. That's a whole other story. But all I'll say about that is that it was more of a spiritual focus, right? And there's those principles and foundations that I used. That was one of the best times of my life, right? And I kind of strayed away from that over the last probably 5, 6, 7 years. And slowly but surely, I really started to feel the effects of that. And so now I have this renewed faith. I spend a lot of time in my spiritual practice, which again can be different for you, but I think this is super important. I think it has to have that. And when you have all of this put together, this is the successful recipe that I've found to having a temple that you feel good to be in every single day. Your temple is your body. You only get one of them. And as far as we know, we may as well treat it as well as we can. And we want to live life. We want to enjoy it. We want to enjoy the beauties of life. Totally get that. And when you know all this stuff and you implement it, it's a beautiful thing that starts to happen. And that's where I'm at. And again, this has worked for me. And so I felt compelled to kind of share this. So I really hope that this maybe helps you. And I'd be curious to hear kind of your thoughts. And maybe you feel differently, or maybe you've felt a really powerful experience from it. I don't know. Share with me. I'd love to hear it. Again, my name is Coach Zach, and I'm going to dive more into some of this stuff in some later videos. But I'm glad you made it through the first part of this temple project series. And my hope is that this maybe will grow into something eventually where we can help more people. So I really want to see more people live a better life and feel better about themselves, the way they feel, the way that they can pass that on to their kids and other generations. Because right now, the way I see it, we have a lot of people struggling out there. And it really does break my heart to see that. I don't want to see that continue to happen. So anyways, hopefully that helps. We'll see you in the next one.